Welcome to rSlash Am I the Bad Guy, where OP becomes a total Karen and yells at a disabled man. Am I the bad guy for asking a disabled person to move seats on the bus for my child? I literally can't imagine what this story could be that could possibly justify you, OP, but let's see. Who knows? I'm a 32-year-old woman, and I was on the bus with my 5-year-old daughter when we got to a busy stop. There were no empty seats available, except for one near a person using a wheelchair, a 40-year-old man. I asked the person if they could move their wheelchair to another spot so that my daughter and I could sit together, but the person declined, saying they needed the space for their mobility device. I was taken aback and frustrated by this response. I explained to him that my daughter was very young and she had to sit next to me for safety reasons, but still, he refused to move. I ended up having to stand for the entire ride with my daughter in tow, which was uncomfortable and tiring for both of us. When I told a friend about what happened, they said that I was being insensitive and ableist. They pointed out the person in the wheelchair had a right to the space they needed and that it was unfair to me to ask them to move. Now I'm questioning whether or not I was in the wrong for asking the person to move. Am I the bad guy for asking a disabled person to move seats on the bus for my child? The absolute irony of this woman complaining about standing for a bus ride. Meanwhile, the guy in the wheelchair would probably give anything for the opportunity to stand during a bus ride. OP, this is an easy breezy lemon squeezy 3 out of 5 bad guy score for you. I give the guy in the wheelchair a rock solid 0 out of 5 bad guys. Am I the bad guy for making my stepmom look crazy so I can avoid babysitting her kids? I'm a 16-year-old girl and I live with my dad. My mom passed away in a bad accident a couple of years ago. My dad met Josie in a grief group or something like that, and they got married last year. Josie has 2 kids, an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old boy, and I hate living with them, to be honest. The 8-year-old has really bad ADHD and is constantly accidentally breaking things, making messes, and has meltdowns over the smallest things. The 6-year-old is kinda similar, but not quite as bad. They both get into my room and take things or break things. I babysat them once when our parents were dating, and I'd rather jump off a building than ever have to watch them again. I swear to God. Josie offered to pay me when they were dating, but I said no. Now that we all live together, she's been trying to make me deal with them more and more, usually while my dad's not home. My dad thinks that I should bond with them more, but he said I don't have to babysit. Josie keeps trying to pull the, just watch them for an hour while I go to the store, or loading me up with chores since I'm not watching the kids. I have chores that I do already, so it's not like I'm doing nothing. I just want some time to myself on the weekend. My dad doesn't see it happen, so he thinks that I'm exaggerating. I had the smaller bedroom in the house that we moved into, but I found out when I was putting stuff away that it has a hatch into a side attic. Nobody else knows about it. I've started keeping stuff that I don't want anyone else to get into in there, and it's big enough that I can spread out a blanket and some pillows and read or work on my laptop in peace. I had the idea to just go in there and avoid Josie when my dad's not home, and it worked. She called for me and came looking for me, but couldn't find me. My dad texted me and asked me where I was, and I told him I'm in my room and dropped my phone location for him to see. Josie still couldn't find me, but I slipped out before my dad came home and was laying on my bed with a book when he got there. Josie got big mad, asking where I've been, and I said I've been in my room. My dad showed her the location I sent when she said that I was lying and snuck out. Now they're arguing because Josie insists that I wasn't in the house, and my dad thinks that she's lying and taking it out on me because I wouldn't babysit. I do feel a little bad now because I'm making Josie look kinda nuts, but I also don't want to babysit or spend my entire Saturday doing chores. Am I the bad guy? OP, this is super funny, but I just want to warn you, if you keep this up, it's only a matter of time before Josie figures out where your hiding spot is. Which sucks, because obviously you need one since she keeps pestering you to do things that aren't your responsibility and your dad doesn't have your back. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving Josie 2 out of 5 bad guys for trying to shove off her responsibilities onto you, and I'm giving your dad 1 out of 5 bad guys for not being a good mediator. Am I the bad guy for embarrassing my sister-in-law after she expected me to pay her and her friend's bill? So I'm a 25-year-old woman and my sister-in-law is 28. I went out for dinner to my sister-in-law's bachelorette party this past weekend. Between my sister-in-law and my husband, my sister-in-law has always been the golden child of the family. Growing up, my in-laws coddled her and gave her everything that she wanted, while my husband always got the worst end of the stick. She was always the popular girl in school. She was a cheerleader, had lots of friends, and all the boys loved her. My husband, on the other hand, was always a little more nerdy and got picked on quite a bit. Even my in-laws would give him a hard time about this and say that he needed to be more like his sister. Fast forward to today. Both my husband and I went to top schools, got our degrees, and currently have very well-paying jobs in tech. I'm not trying to sound braggy. This is just for context, but we live a very, very comfortable life. My sister-in-law still currently lives at home with my in-laws where they foot all of her bills. She had my niece, who's 4, with her ex and is currently on marriage number 2. This past weekend, I was invited to this fancy upscale restaurant in my city for my sister-in-law's bachelorette party. She said that she just wanted to do a nice dinner. There were 8 of us in total. At the end of the dinner, the bill comes out, and the waiter hands it to me. I'm sitting there confused for a second until my sister-in-law speaks up and is all, "My parents and I were talking, and we're thinking that you and my brother can handle this bill for me as a wedding gift, since you're not financially contributing to my wedding." I stared at her shocked for a moment and was like, "And you didn't think to bring this up with me beforehand?" She started going off about how we're so well off, so what's the big deal? And I'm sure my brother wouldn't have an issue with it. I asked her why her fiance doesn't foot the bill, or my in-laws, and where in her right mind she thinks it's okay to spring this on me. She started going on about how we're the wealthiest in both her and her fiance's family, and that she didn't think that I would act like this and would say yes. I told her, "Well, sorry, but I am not your parents, so don't expect handouts from me." She called me selfish, and I called her an entitled brat. Then I paid for my portion of the bill and left. Well, as expected, my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and even some of the cousins and aunts on my husband's side have been absolutely furious with me, and they're expecting me to apologize for the comments. I told them over my dead body. My husband is 100% on my side, and we're debating on not going to the wedding. I was talking to my mom, and she thinks that I took it too far with the comments, and I should just apologize to keep the peace. Am I the bad guy? And for context, the bill was close to $1,000. Man, $1,000 between 8 people, that's like $120 per person, give or take. Opie, we'll get to the bad guy score in a second, but I just have to point out something that I think you may have missed. You wrote, "This past weekend, I was invited to this fancy upscale restaurant in my city for my sister-in-law's bachelorette party. She just wanted to do a nice dinner." I think more than likely, OP, this was just the only thing that your sister invited you to, because she wanted you to foot the bill, obviously. She and her actual friends probably did lots of other stuff too, they just didn't tell you about it. Granted, this is just a hunch, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm right. Okay, so the bad guy score is super simple. No, you're not the bad guy for refusing to foot the bill. Her just springing this on you and her trying to treat you like an ATM is super entitled. Now, as for the comments, I actually think this can go either way. On the one hand, she insulted you, so you do have a right to defend yourself. On the other hand, this is her party that she invited you to, and it's her bachelorette party, and all of her friends are here. So if some people want to say that you shouldn't have insulted her, you should have just gracefully exited, paid your bill, and left, then I could see that argument holding water too. So you get 0 out of 5 bad guys for the check thing, and I personally would give you 0 out of 5 bad guys for standing up for yourself. But if someone else wanted to give you 0.5 out of 5 bad guys for insulting the girl, then I think that's kind of understandable. Your sister-in-law, however, gets 1.5 out of 5 bad guys for her entitlement. Am I the bad guy for wearing a wedding dress at a wedding? I'm a 19-year-old guy, and I've been friends with this girl who's 20 for a few years, and she recently got engaged. A week ago, I got a DM from her for a small costume party that she was hosting as a celebration for her getting engaged. I asked if there was a theme, and she said there wasn't. I'm a cosplayer, so I had a lot of choices. I didn't want to rock up in an anime cosplay, so I thought that it would be funny to go to an engagement party as the corpse bride. I arrived at her house yesterday, and everything seemed normal. A few people complimented my costume, and I was having a lot of fun. After 10 minutes, my friend's fiance walked out in a black tuxedo and announced that this was their wedding. Apparently, my friend saw a video of someone doing this and wanted to do the same. He asked us all to go to the backyard for the ceremony to begin. I went straight to the groom. I asked him if I should quickly go home and change my outfit and that I would get back before it started. He told me it was fine since I didn't know this was the wedding. I trusted him and followed everyone outside. They got married and everything seemed good. The reception was just in their house again, so everyone just walked back inside and picked up where they left off. I tried talking to my friend and celebrating with her, but she kept making excuses not to talk to me. I assumed that it was just because she was tired from the big day and wanted some alone time. I didn't bother her after that, and the party soon ended. I got home and half an hour passed when my phone started getting notifications. I checked, and it was my friend texting me. She was cussing me out, telling me that I ruined her wedding. I was really confused and asked what I did. That only made her more angry. She told me that it was basic knowledge not to wear a wedding dress to a wedding. I reminded her that I had no idea this was a wedding and that I had asked her now husband if I should change, and he said it was fine. She didn't respond, but I got a text from her husband. He asked why I would tell her that he said that it was fine. I told him because he did say that it was fine. Then he said that I should have changed anyways, and now it's my fault that those two are fighting over this. I tried texting her that I was sorry, and if I had known, I wouldn't have done it. I woke up today, and I saw that her and her husband have blocked me on everything. So, am I the bad guy for not changing out of the wedding dress when I found out that it was actually a wedding? OP, you didn't surprise them with the wedding dress. They surprised you with the wedding. How are you supposed to predict the future, read their minds, that's the one outfit you're not allowed to wear? Then they get mad at you because they didn't tell you, but still you're responsible. This is dumb. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 bad guys. I kind of have sympathy for the bride because this was like a 1 in a million edge case that she probably couldn't have reasonably predicted. Even with a costume party, what are the odds someone's going to come to a costume party in a wedding dress? So I understand her frustration, but still, getting mad at you for something that's not your fault is completely unreasonable. She should be mad at her husband for letting it slide. So I'm giving you 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving your friend 0.5 out of 5 bad guys for being really unfairly upset at you. I'm giving the husband 1 out of 5 bad guys because really he should own up to his mistakes and he should have seen this coming. Fundamentally, this is their party, so they're responsible for it. What they really should have done was stop you the second you got to the door, take you aside, explain the situation, and have you go back and change. That's what I would have done. Am I the bad guy for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son? I'm a 40-year-old man, and I have a sister who's 30 who's getting married next week. The groom proposed to her a year ago at a family dinner that left everyone speechless, but very happy for them as their longtime companions. During this dinner, my sister asked my son, who's 17, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they're so beautiful. He agreed, but said that he needed time and that he would need her opinion constantly. At first, my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month, and she only liked one, which he continued with. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for because I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months, he made several adjustments to suit her wishes because she always complained about something. After a while, my son got the final dress finished, and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in that dress, and I confess, I almost got emotional too. The problem was that last week, my son came to talk to me because his wedding invitation hadn't arrived, but it had arrived for other family members. I thought maybe he didn't need one, but still, it felt weird. I messaged my sister raising the issue, and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in our family. My son is the only minor. So I don't see any sense in this rule for family members. And to make matters worse, my son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress and couldn't go to the wedding. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible because she would no longer wear the one that my son made. She called and yelled at me, saying that I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me, saying that I should deliver the dress and follow the rules. But I didn't, and I hung up on my mom. Because of this, the family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's actions, saying that she could make an exception. But another part says that I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, just rational and paying her back in kind. So, am I the bad guy? This top comment from ResDogs, not the bad guy. He should go and wear the dress. Okay, OP, so realistically, your sister has every right to invite or not invite whoever she wants to that wedding. However, if you don't invite someone, you can't expect them to just give you a wedding dress for free. It's kind of funny how she's not okay with children at her wedding, but she is okay with child labor at her wedding. Okay. OP, I'm giving you and your son 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving your sister 1.5 out of 5 bad guys for her hypocrisy and entitlement. That was rSlash the A, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.